everyone. Starting a little video series on the different GosuX clans, and the idea would be to go through each clan and go through each cards available in each clan, and giving my opinion on the cards, the little tricks you can do with these cards, and basically how the clan works. Doing this in English because there is already, I would say, a French version available made by Monchorizo, and this, I hope, will help the English speakers of the community to get in the game and start playing the game. At least that's the idea behind these videos. I'll start with the Galmi clan, mostly because it's a pretty beginner-friendly clan, in my opinion. We'll see going through the cards, but lots of card draw, which helps, and the Wondrous token, which also helps a lot, and helps the flow of your game, and which helps when you're starting and with the game. And not a lot of situational cards in Galmi, which also greatly helps. So let's start with the level 1s. The first card we have is Bulgo. So Bulgo is a recruiter. Bulgo doesn't have any effect when he comes in the game, but he is a recruiter, which will help you play your other clans for free, and that's pretty helpful. You probably want to have Bulgo soon in the game, since it doesn't have any other in-game when you play it effect. So the really strong part about it is the recruiter, and so if you have already all your 3 clans online when you draw Bulgo, it kind of will become a dead card. So, but if you have it early, it can really help you start the game, help you put your different clans online, and help you develop. So nice card in that way. It also has a passive, which is when you spend your 2 tokens to draw 3, you take an extra turn after this one. So that one is a lot more situational, but sometimes can be pretty strong if correctly used. So first of all, it gives tempo. If you need to draw 3 cards, being able to play right afterwards is always good. But it can also be strong if you're in a desperate need of a solution. So typically your opponent plays a card and you really need to answer it this turn, but you do not have the solution in hand. At least you can try to draw 3 more cards, find that solution, and directly play that solution on the threat before it's your opponent's turn. So that's one use case where the Bulgo passive effect can be pretty strong. The other one I would say is with the Galmi Byuyunja, where with the Byuyunja you want to pass first, and to pass you need to have spent all your tokens. And if you have Bulgo in play, even if you have your 4 tokens, passing only takes 2 turns when Bulgo is in play. First turn you spend 2 tokens, you draw 3, and you can do anything else on the second turn you have. Opponent gets 1 turn to play, and then when it's back to your turn, you can spend the last 2 tokens and directly pass with the Byuyunja if your opponent hasn't done anything to disrupt that. So that can come in handy and can make you win the game if you keep that in mind. Second card we have is Bunto. One last thing to say about Bulgo, it also has only 1 in terms of shift cost, which once you've played it, used it to develop and bring out other clans, it's pretty easy, especially if you have the Wondrous token, to just shift it into a new card and get basically free the space that it's using and is not useful anymore. Other thing before going to Bunto, with Bulgo, there's also a nice combination with Knobo. If you play Bulgo, you can open up a new clan with the recruiter effect. And then if you play the Knobo, you can shift Knobo and Bulgo and then open up your third clan with the recruiter effect and avoiding paying 4 cards in total and having all 3 of your clans online. So one quick combo to keep in mind. So back to Bunto. Bunto also has the Wondrous token effect, and Bunto is pretty nice because it's a draw effect. You can choose between level 1, level 2, or level 3 cards. You reveal 4 cards, and you take each cards of the level you've decided to take. Bunto is basically, there's 2 ways of using Bunto. Either you're trying to gather the most cards in your hand because you're going to need resources to shift cards, because you're going to need resources to bring new clans, develop and bring new clans online. So that's one way. And in that case, you'll often say level 1s to gather as many cards as possible. The other way to play Bunto is when you're looking for specific solutions or you're looking for specific cards. And in that case, you will give the level of the cards you're looking for. And you might not get as many cards in your hand, but if you're looking for specific cards that can really help you and really help you win the game, playing Bunto this way is a good way to dig in your deck and try to find these options and these strong cards that you need. One also nice thing to keep in mind is that on BGA, at least, it's easy to take a look at your library and really take a look at how many level 1 cards you have left, how many level 2 cards you have left, how many level 3 cards you have left, and basically calculating the odds of depending on how many cards you want to draw or what are the cards you specifically want to draw with it. Also with Bunto, sometimes you can get unlucky and kind of have a full miss of your cards. So there's that random effect that can give you a pretty sad situation. But other than that, it's a pretty strong card. Next up is Knobo. So Knobo is pretty nice because it has a draw effect. It draws 1 on its own. It's pretty easy to have activated to draw 2 once you've played a level 2 Galmi in play. And you can even draw 3 if you have the Galmi or the Byunja in play, or Xian. But to have that in play and for level 1 to draw 3 card is pretty strong. In addition, you can reactivate Knobo. So often, the first time you'll play it, he'll only draw 1 or 2, but later on you can use a token on him and can often be a draw 2 or draw 3, which is pretty strong for a level 1. The swap 2 cards effect that he does can also be helpful. So, like we said, with any recruiter, whether it's Bulgo or another one, you can shift them all the way. You can swap them all the way to the right and use that recruiter effect again. And it can also be very strong with the Justice passive. If you have an ethereal token on one of your lines and you have a card that is captured on that line, using the swap, you can swap the captured card and put it under the ethereal token, and that will uncapture that card. So you can use Knobo to uncapture cards, which is a pretty cool effect. Last level 1 card is Ungo. So Ungo, what's nice about Ungo is it's I would say aggression, which is something that Galmi doesn't have too much. but being able to disrupt your opponent is also always a good thing, and Ungo can help you with that. So Ungo, you can choose any open level 1 or level 2 cards and put it on top of their deck. Most of the time, you'll be using it on your opponent. I've seen cases where you use it on your own cards, but usually that's pretty rare. You also have, you can also put an open level 3 card instead if you've won one of the great battles. But most use cases with Ungo, you'll be targeting level 1 or level 2 cards. So first of all, that's really strong when your opponent just paid 2 cards to open a new color, a new clan. Sending that card back on top of his library basically makes him lose 2 cards. Plus, he'll need to find a way to draw back that card if he wants to play it again. So that can be very strong. Ungo is also very strong on cards that don't have any effect when they come into play. So most of the recruiters, I think all the recruiters, so the one now except Yume from Abu Nakashi, but the recruiter in Rook, the recruiter in Justice, the recruiter in Abilasha are all pretty good targets for Ungo. Ungo also likes targeting all-in-one because all-in-one doesn't have any effect coming into play. And there's also some level 2 cards that Ungo likes to target. There's Shenong, which doesn't have any effect coming into play. There's Nisa. If playing the panda didn't draw him 2 cards, then he will have that sent back on top of his library. And then there's Hamro, which doesn't have any effect coming into play. And I would say the last one, there's a few more. There's a 2 in Phoenix with the multi-level Phoenix and the level 2. And one that's pretty important is Shadow, because Shadow is a pretty strong card. It's ethereal, so it's pretty hard to get rid of. And for that case, Ungo is a pretty good solution for that. So that's it for all the level 1 cards from Galmi. Not very situational cards, and so it's pretty easy to get your Galmi online, and your Galmi helps you get your other clans online with the Wondrous token and with the Recruiter. And that's what makes Galmi I would say, pretty fluid clan to play. On the level 2 sides, so the first one is Galmi Avatar. Galmi Avatar, so it has changed between the moment where the game came out with only 8 clans. It has changed since then. So first of all, it gained solo. It used to have was about the same kind of card. It had 3 in terms of stats, and it would go up to 6 in terms of stats if there was a bounty card on the other side. Now it has solo, so it has 3 in terms of stats and has 6 if it's an open card, like all the other solo cards in the game. It has ethereal, so it's hard to destroy on your opponent's sides. And now it has a new come into play effect, which is the player with the most bounty cards takes a corruption token. So this effect, I would say, alone, just looking at Galmi, isn't that strong, because there's not many other Galmi cards except the level 3 one that plays around corruption. And if you take a look at how you can play that multiple times, you can always ungo your Galmi, but you're losing a lot of tempo and you need to find a way to draw him back. You can also rehab your Galmi to play him again, but same thing, since Galmi is pretty hard to destroy, it's not always easy to get rid of it, to be able to rehab it and then play it again. So most of the time you'll play him only once or maybe twice in the game, and so if you really want to play corruption, you're going to need another clan to help you with that. I would say mostly Rook or Abu Nakashi are probably the two clans that you'll be looking at if you want to look at corruption. But on its own, Galmi is probably not enough to corrupt your opponent and win with the Galmi passive, but we'll come to that. Second level 2 card is Sheerift. So Sheerift is probably, I would say, the least powerful level 2 cards from Galmi. It gives you the Wondrous token, which is always nice. It only has 2 in terms of shift costs, so at least you can shift it pretty easily once if you still have the Wondrous token. And basically you place the bounty token on any card. So when is that useful? That can be useful with the Galmi avatar to make sure you can choose who will get the corruption token, either giving it to you because you need corruption to play an abomination card, for example, or because you're looking to win with stats and with the military stats. Or I would say most of the time giving it to the opponent because then you plan on capturing this card and drawing with that. So maybe if you're playing with Goansul as a clan with Galmi, or eventually with the Abilasha, or even Abu Nakashi, in that case Sheerift can help you draw a card. But it's, I would say, pretty situational because you need to have to play Sheerift and have the capture/destruction in hand, and the opponent can always shift the card on which you put the token away if he wants to get rid of it. So and avoid you capturing it. So you always have that to keep in mind. Other point where it can be useful is if you have Abu Nakashi as a passive. In that case, you can lower the shift card cost of one of your cards to 1 with that bounty token. So probably can be useful for cards that have like 3 or more in terms of shift cards. So I'm talking about Kante. You have Nitiyanda in Narashima, which has a shift cost of 4. And if you're playing with Astrae, you also have Monchorizo, which has a shift card, Moncho, which has a shift cards of 6 and has a pretty strong effect if you manage to shift the card. But I would say that's pretty situational. You need Abu Nakashi as a passive and so on. So you're kind of jumping through hoops to make that work. So Sheerift, I would say not the strongest card. Next up is Kante. So Kante used to be very, very strong because it was strong against Abilasha, it was strong against Goansul with lots of captures, it was strong against Xian combined with any of these two clans with a lot of captures. But I would say in the current meta, we often have Rook as a passive, and in that case Kante becomes a lot less strong. But its effect of releasing all your cards is a good effect. It can help you win with 15 cards in play, because to win with 15 cards at play, you need them to all be released. You can't have any captured to win the game. And the fact that you can reactivate it with a token is also pretty strong, because if your opponent is trying to prevent you from winning with 15 cards, or is trying to win in terms of military, having a Kante in play and being able to put a token on it to regain, I would say, the strength of all your capture card can be a pretty big swing and a thing to think about, and will become probably a target for the opponent. And if he really wants to play capture against you, and rook is not a passive, he'll probably have to start by capturing Conte before capturing your other cards. So that gives him an extra step, and can so strong card in that case. Next is Rehab. Rehab is actually probably the strongest level 2 cards from Galmi. It has a low shift cost, which is helpful. It gives you Wondrous like all the other Galmi cards, but what's really strong is its effect with choose up to X cards from your discard pile and put them on top of your deck in any order, and then draw 1. So if you have 2 tokens, that means you're taking 2 cards, and you're choosing 1 to draw and 1 to keep on top of your library. If you have 4 tokens, you're choosing 4 cards, you're keep putting 3 on top of your library in the order that you want, and that can be very interesting, and you're drawing 1 of the cards. One point to keep in mind with Rehab is you can also play him without any cards in your discard pile, or even if you don't want any cards of your discard pile, you can always play him just to draw 1, which in some cases can get you out of a pinch, I would say. But what's really strong about Rehab is that you can get access to your discard pile, and you can grab the cards that have been used or have been discarded and get them back, and that can be very strong, and so that's why it's I would say one of the best level 2 cards in Galmi, probably the best level 2 cards. Another thing to keep in mind with Rehab is that it's also pretty strong with 2 clans when you want to win on tokens. These clans are Rook, with because Rehab is pretty strong with the Rook Byuyunja. Since you know what cards will be left on top of your library, you can then easily shadow step into that card with this Byuyunja to gain a token. The other clan which works well with Rehab is Abu Nakashi, because once the Byuyunja is online, meaning that 3 corruption tokens have been distributed, you can play this card, sacrifice it, gain a token, then you can play Rehab, get this card back in your hand, replay it, get another token, and then even you can play a token on Rehab since you just won 2, take this card back in hand, replay it, and win the game. Of course, your opponent will probably try to disrupt that, but that's I would say easy way to gain tokens with this clan. And same thing with Rook. With a Rook, if you have 2 Byuyunjas in your discard pile, you can play a Byuyunja, then shadow step into the second one, and then shadow step into the third, and gain multiple tokens this way. A little harder to set up because you will need to have already unlocked a token for that, but if the X is 3 or more, you can use that to try to win multiple tokens with the Rook Byuyunja as well. So nice little tricks to do with Rehab. And basically pretty strong with any shadow step cards as well. Shard is I would say it's a pretty strong card. It's a pretty useful card. It's never bad. When you play Shard, you're going to reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, and you're going to choose the best one and put it in your hand. So it's nice if you want to put cards in your discard, because you're putting 3 cards in your discard, and basically it's pretty nice to dig in your library and try to find the solutions you're looking for, or the specific cards you're looking for to help you develop, to help you play whatever strategy you're currently going for. So Shard is a pretty easy to play card and is always good. Only thing to keep in mind is if your library is empty, its effect will be, there won't be any effect. So it's not draw 4 cards, it's reveal the top 4 cards. So if your library only has 1 card left, then you'll only reveal 1 and you'll take that into your hand. And if the library is empty, the effect is void. So be careful. That's the only, I would say, only use case where Shard is not as good. Lastly, we have the level 3. So Galmi, also like the Galmi avatar, has been changed since the release of the game. It still has the, I would say, Ungo effect, except you can aim level 1, level 2, or level 3. So you can take any open cards from yourself or the opponent and put it on top of its library, of the library. And what is pretty strong is you can also immediately pass. So in terms of tempo, that can be really strong because you're playing a 5 stat card in play. You can bounce an opponent Byunja, so -5 on his side, and immediately pass. So basically win a turn. It used to be even stronger because it used to be that the opponent had only then 2 turns to finish the round. Now he still has his 3 turns, so it's a little less strong, but it's something to. It's still good tempo, and you can close games this way if you're enough ahead in terms of board, and then you play the Galmi for the win and finish off the round that way. I haven't said that for Ungo, but same thing for Ungo and Galmi. I would say the only use cases where you want to use that on your own cards is probably if you're playing with Shadow Step, because you'll be able to know which card you're putting on top of your library, and then you can Shadow Step into that card directly. Knowing that playing Galmi to put a Byunja on top of your card and to hope Shadow Stepping with this one in it is actually usually pretty hard, because if you're playing Galmi, he'll probably be your only level 3 open card, so you won't be able to target a Byunja. With Ungo, it won't be too easy. It won't be easy as well, because you'll probably need to have one of the great battles to be able to send a level 3 on top and have the Shadow Step done for this card right here. So might be some use cases where you're able to activate the Rook Byunja, but mostly I would say for other Shadow Steps like level 1 and level 2 Shadow Steps. In this case, these cards can be used that way. Also, what to say about Galmi is the passive. So at any point in time, if basically all the corruption tokens have been distributed, the player with the most corruption tokens loses the game, and that's an immediate effect. And so that is one of the new win conditions. As we were saying earlier, to do that only with Galmi is pretty hard, because even playing Galmi, bouncing it up with Ungo, then getting it with Rehab, and so on, is pretty unrealistic to get all 7. But if you're combining Galmi with other clans that can play on corruption, like Abu Nakashi, like Rook with the Riyadh card, or even with the Xian, because you'll be able to play Valin to copy the Galmi avatar. You can play Xian to copy the Galmi avatar, and you can also play Neo to target twice the Galmi avatar, and that can quickly speed up the dealing corruption token, and is one neat thing to keep in mind. But so to play the Galmi passive, you probably need to heavily rely on other clans. Otherwise, it'll be pretty hard just with Galmi to get up to the 7 tokens distributed. Last Galmi card is the Byunja. So I've talked about it really quick. I would say it's an easy. It's a Byunja which is pretty easy to get the token from, but you can only get 1 token per round, and so it's nice to complement other clans that have, I would say, token victory and can win multiple token in a single round. And basically, finishing off with this one is can be useful, can be neat, but trying to have a token victory just with this Byunja is, well, first of all, it's not possible because you won't be able to pass 3 times. But it also means going up to round 2, and now there's a lot of games that finish in round 1. So I would say easy to get 1 token with this Byunja, pretty hard to get multiple tokens with this Byunja. Except, as we were discussing, if you have Ungo in play, Bulgo in play, and in that case you can win a token, and then on the next round you just use your token very quickly with Bulgo, and then pass with this one again, and that can be but it has to be your final token. So you'll have to have won a token with another clan anyways. That's about it for all the Galmi cards. If we take a look at, I would say, the other clans, Galmi is a good support clan, so it will often work well with, I would say, any clan. But the clans that kind of stand out, there's Goansul, even it's a little less true with Rook as when Rook is passive. But Galmi plus Goansul can be effective because Galmi can give you tempo with the Ungo, with the Galmi, even with the extra turn on Bulgo. And Goansul, with its destruction, is also basically tempo, and so both of them together, you can really aim for a military victory, and especially finishing off with Galmi, and kind of solidifying your lead with Galmi, playing Galmi and then passing in the same turn. So these clans can work together. I've talked about Galmi plus Rook or Galmi plus Abu Nakashi because rehab can really help the Byunja and getting the tokens. So I would say looking for a token victory. So Galmi plus Abu Nakashi and Galmi plus Rook can work out. Galmi plus Abilasha is also very strong because Abilasha has his secret shift mechanism, and which is probably one of the strongest mechanism in the game. And having that cost even 1 less, often having the Wondrous token, makes Abilasha very, very strong. So Galmi plus Abilasha is often also a very good combination. Galmi plus Xian is often played. It doesn't have many, I would say, combos except the one I talked about earlier with the Neo on the Galmi avatar, but it's 2 clans that work well together. And the last clan that can be pretty strong with Galmi is Narashima, mostly because of the Navage. The Navage is the level 1 from Narashima that enables you to get 2 cards from your discard, and these cards can be either the the red ring, basically the force of will cards, but also can be any wondrous cards, and all the Galmi cards are wondrous. So with Navage, basically you can fetch any 2 Galmi cards, and even more than that if you've won additional tokens. But you can fetch any 2 Galmi cards from your discard and put it in your hand, and that is pretty strong because, as we saw, all the Galmi cards are pretty easy to use, so they're rarely bad. So getting any of these cards is often helpful, and you can also, and being able to get a level 3 plus a level 2, for example, is can be very strong. So Galmi plus Narashima is also a good combination. And I would say that's about it for Galmi. So don't hesitate to react. Tell me what you think about this video format, and then I'll see if I can get on working the other clans of GosuX. Thank you, everyone.